2021 carnivore diet findings from 2,029 participants over 6+ months on the carnivore diet. 100% of the diabetics came off injectable medications. Is it okay? 100% of people that did this came off their injectable diabetic medications. That is a solid win. I don't care what type of foods you're eating, but yes, if you can manage that in such a simple way, this is something to consider, in my opinion. 92% of diabetics came off insulin completely. That's a huge number, 92%. I mean, that's mind-blowing. In 2020, a team of researchers at Harvard University conducted the first mainstream study on the carnivore diet. The study surveyed over 2,000 carnivore dieters, and the findings were published on November 2nd, 2021. Now, I'll be sure to provide a link down in the comment section and in the description section of this video so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about and where I get the information from. So this here is done by Dr. Kiltz. The Harvard Carnivore Diet Study, Findings and Takeaway. Now, I found a lot of things in here that were incredibly useful and interesting, and that's mainly why I want to share this with you today. Harvard actually dove pretty deep into this study because this is not exactly mainstream, but it's something that's considered a popularity type, fad type diet. And but so many people are getting into it, especially after being locked down for a considerable amount of time throughout the pandemic. That's kind of when this entire study started to happen, was right after the pandemic started. The one thing I did like about this article is, who are the researchers? Now, that's the biggest red flag for any time anybody comes out with a publication or says this or that about anything in the healthcare community. If people do not attach their names to stuff, I automatically disregard it completely. So who were the participants? Well, the participants were obviously picked randomly. Originally, 3,883 participants were recruited from the carnivore diet communities on social media outlets, including Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So there's that. Of the original respondents, 1,854 were excluded for various reasons. The study included responses from the 2,029 remaining participants. And I really like how they broke all this down. Nationality, 64% of the participants were from the United States and Canada. 11% were from Europe. 8% were from Australia. Now the gender here, 2/3 of the participants were male. 1/3 were female. Age range, participants aged from 18 to 85 years old. The median age was 44 years old. That right there goes along with my previous determination that, you know, most vegans start at 16 and then they usually peter out around 35, especially if they were influenced early on in life, like high school age. They get to about 35 and they find out they have all these dramatic issues going on with their bodies and have to convert over to at least a minimum of a meat-based type diet, which tends to help out considerably. I know it did with me. But that 44 years of age, that fits right in there, because I started the carnivore diet back when I was 49 years old. I'm 50 now, so I got a little bit over a year of the carnivore diet under my belt. Now, the average weight, participants' bodies weights ranged from 38 keys to 176 kilograms, which is 84 pounds, to 388 pounds. Now, the median weight was 76 kilograms, about 168 pounds. Now, I'm not sure why the education in all this has anything to do with it, but 64% of the participants had a college degree or some sort of college education. Now, another oddity is the income level. 20% of the respondents reported a high income level, 66% middle income, and 14% were of the lower range. So why did they begin the carnivore diet in the first place? Well, similar to my experience, I started the carnivore diet because I was looking to hopefully improve on a lot of my health issues. And a lot of my health issues were fixed, specifically after the time frame of getting on the carnivore diet. And I wanted to see how these other people compared to my success, or basically similarities. But health improvement was the main goal with the majority of people that tried out the carnivore diet in the first place. Now, for me, it was body composition. My weight was messed up. I had sleep apnea going on. I had high blood pressure. I had chronic diarrhea, chronic constipation, if that makes sense. But yes, it can go together. I focused my entire life around where the restrooms were at. Which is basically a crippling type situation. Now, on top of that, I also had allergies, just like a lot of these people. My focus and my ability to think improved once I got on the carnivore diet. I had another concern with my digestive health. That's another concern for these guys. Athletic performance. I wasn't looking for athletic performance, but now I did gain a lot of success with being able to move around more naturally after doing the carnivore diet. Mental health is a big one, especially after the pandemic, because a lot of us were mentally messed up, especially from lockdowns and wearing masks all the time. And a trip to the hospital was just absolutely miserable for the majority of us. Now, 11% did say they were trying to fix diabetes type situations. Thankfully, I wasn't one of those. But I can say that everything did improve as far as blood sugar and stuff like that. So the next question at hand they talk about is how long have participants practiced the carnivore diet? Now, all the participants in this study have been practicing the carnivore diet for at least 6 months, some a lot longer. So the median length for the majority of these people is approximately 14 months. And now it goes on to what foods did they eat on the carnivore diet? Most of them were eating ruminant red meat. High fatty meat seems to be working well. 85% of the respondents reported consuming either a combination of beef, bison, lamb, goat, and venison at every meal or at least daily. Eggs and high fat dairy. The other most popular diet foods that participants ate daily at every meal included eggs, 44%, cheese and bacon, 43%. And then it goes on to talk about pork, 13%. Reported eating pork daily. Now 53% reported consuming pork about 1 to 3 times a week or so. Now poultry is kind of the same average. You know, some people reported eating it daily, others reported eating it only a couple times a week. Now they also talk about fish and organ meat and bone broth, milk, herbs and spices. There's a good one. 21% of participants reported using herbs and spices daily. Now salt intake, fat content of meat. 61% consumed high-fat meat, 37% chose moderate fat, 2% chose lean fat. Now meat quality, 54% consumed 100% grain-finished or predominantly grain-finished meats. 46% consumed grass-fed, grass-finished, or predominantly grass-fed and finished beef. Now it also goes on to talk about the doneness here. 45% like medium rare, that's kind of where I'm at. 29% like rare, 15% medium, 6% liked medium well, 2% liked raw. That's raw. I don't know. Not necessarily on the raw. I got to have a real good sear on it. Now, what did these people drink to include like caffeinated beverages and even alcohol? Coffee and tea. 57% participants reported drinking coffee at least once a day. That's me. 24% reported never drinking coffee. Now, I did 30 days of no coffee, and it seemed to work out just fine either way, with or without the coffee, so I added coffee back into my diet. Now, 12% reported drinking tea at least daily. 51% reported never drinking tea. I'm not a big tea drinker, so that doesn't really apply to me. Now, alcohol. 83% never consumed beer. 86% never consumed low-carb beers or seltzers. 55% never consumed spirits. Spirits being alcohol, of course. Of the 45% who consumed spirits, only 0.5 drank at least daily. 10% had it once, a few times a week. The remainder drank spirits sparingly. Now wine, 57% never consumed wine at all. Of the 43%, only 1.1 drank wine daily, and 11 drank wine once or 2 times a week. Now this one here surprised me. Electrolyte supplements. I have to have electrolytes because I do the carnivore diet or carnivore-ish meat-based type diet with a 90-10 eating principle. 10% I love my life, so I do have some off-scale type carnivore foods. And it's always a debate. Is 100% carnivore better for us, or is it good to mix and match? But without electrolytes, I struggle. I have to have my electrolytes with me at all times throughout my workday because I only eat 1 meal a day at the end of the day. So in order to make it through my day, I have to have electrolytes with me all throughout the process. But it says here, 59% never used electrolyte supplements, which is totally possible to do, especially if you're using healthy natural salts like Redmond salt, Celtic salt, Malden salt, any type of natural mineral type salt tends to work on the carnivore diet, but I salt my meat extremely heavily. 17% consumed electrolyte supplements daily. Now these supplements can be made at home. These supplements can also be store-bought. They can be ordered on Amazon, and it's just a good idea to figure out your electrolyte sources and learn how to make them yourself. It's so much cheaper. 24% use them from a few times a year to a few times a week. How often did participants eat on the carnivore diet? 81% of the participants ate 1 to 2 meals a day. 64% ate 2 meals a day. 17% ate only 1 meal a day. I'm in that 17%, 1 meal a day. 17% ate 3 times or more a day. And 2% ate less than once a day. Now, I think if we were to revisit a study like this, it would be nice to find it dialed in a little bit tighter than that, because this is a really broad range of carnivore-ish type of situations going into this mix here. I mean, if I was wanting a specific study on groups like myself, where I only eat OMAD once a day, I would need several participants to participate in that and share exactly what happened after the fact. Now, the level of compliance, this is always a hard one to figure out. 89% never consumed legumes, 87% never consumed breaded and fried fast food meats. Now, that's an option too. Fast food meats, yeah, you can get those and technically be considered carnivore too, but I've tried some and none of them ever seem to work for me, because there's a lot of extra contamination going on in these fast food establishments and we can't see what's going on behind the scenes. 81% never consumed candy, milk, or chocolate. 80% never use multivitamins or supplements. Now, I do use a few basic multivitamins and supplements. You know, my homemade electrolytes is one of them. Vitamin B1, K2, vitamin D3 is another essential one. Fish oil at times, but I can get my fish oil from other places, like eating fish and seafood. Iodine supplements, I can supplement that as well with eating shellfish like shrimp. But yes, from time to time, vitamin supplements are absolutely necessary, because not every single diet contains everything we need, because you would have to eat like basically nose to tail of animals if you're just doing a carnivore diet alone to get all your basic vitamins and nutrients throughout the animal. Not a big fan of eating organ meats, even though I have in the past. But I figured out how to do this diet without any vitamin deficiencies whatsoever. So I just kind of do my thing. Now, it says 80% never use vitamins or supplements. 79% never consumed grains. 78% never consumed sugar. 75% never ate desserts. 74% never consumed honey. 74% never consumed starchy vegetables. 69% never consumed non-starchy vegetables. Now, I have been known to put some non-starchy type vegetables into my diet, stuff like onions, green peppers, basically neutral type stuff. Once in a while I might have an avocado. I might dip into an apple, maybe a banana at times, but I just try to keep everything to a bare minimum. Now, the one fruit that I do enjoy on the carnivore diet is blueberries. I can eat a lot of them and stay in ketosis. There's also a lot of health and nutrition in blueberries. They're really not that toxic to my system, and my body doesn't tend to get overwhelmed with high oxalate type foods. 66% never consumed fruit. 65% never consumed non-calorie sweeteners. Now, that's something I also have taken out of my entire routine. Basic sweeteners of all kinds, including honey. I don't eat any of those. I just stay away from it altogether. If I'm going to eat sugar, I'm just going to eat sugar, and then I'm going to get it out of my system, and then I'm going to go on with life. What did the participants experience when they did the carnivore diet? 2021 carnivore diet findings from 2,029 participants over 6+ months on the carnivore diet. 100% of the diabetics came off injectable medications. Is it okay? 100% of people that did this came off their injectable diabetic medications. That is a solid win. I don't care what type of foods you're eating, but yes, if you can manage that in such a simple way, this is something to consider, in my opinion. 92% of diabetics came off insulin completely. That's a huge number, 92%. I mean, that's mind-blowing. And that's just from eating meats and fats. 84% of diabetics came off all oral medications. Again, 84% is a giant number. That is awesome. CRP, inflammatory markers, decreased significantly. Now, in my experience, yes, that absolutely works. And I believe I have it right here. So this is my CRP high sensitivity chart, and you can see here where it started. So when I first started getting records on this was over here, and this is the dramatic decline as we just go all the way over to here. That is the whole time I've been on the carnivore diet right there, from here to here. Now this here is my weight chart, which is mind-blowing since I started the carnivore diet. This weight chart goes back through way before I was actually on the carnivore diet. In 2008, my weight was just up and down. Then it did a dramatic dip. That was when I was going through a relationship type issue, going through my divorce. This is basically mapping out every part of my journey. And then when I started my journey, it was right here, and it looks like I just dropped right off a cliff. That is the possibilities that you guys need to consider here. This is possible 100% of the time. What else we got? 90% improved in all diseases. Now that's one thing to consider with this carnivore diet. I've gotten myself off the CPAP machine. My blood pressure has corrected itself. My blood work looks pretty ecstatic. I've done it 3 times in the last year or 2, and I have had better blood work every single time. But yes, I do have a little bit higher levels of cholesterol and LDL, but they're not through the roof, so I'm not even concerned. Now, I've also done other really serious type blood work where they take a deeper dive and they want to see if I'm vitamin nutrition in any way. And so far, I have not found any deficiencies in any of the vitamin categories, and I don't need to worry about it. Now, we have a little graph here on self-reported changes. All right, this is good stuff, guys. Chronic diseases, overall health, hunger, food cravings. Yeah, my food cravings have pretty much gone away. Everybody's going to battle with some sort of food craving, whether it's a craving for meat, whether it's a craving for carbs or snacks or random things when you go out in public. It's totally normal. Just get it out of your system and go back to doing what works for you. Mental clarity, memory, focus, 100% improvement. Absolutely 100% improvement. Before I started the carnivore diet, I could not hold a complete sentence to save my life. Now, sleep, that has definitely improved. My sleep has improved hands down every day. When I go back to bed and I hit the pillow, I am just out like a baby. I don't require a CPAP machine anymore, so a lot less stress goes on there. I just love it. Now, strength, that's a debatable one. Some people reported more strength on the carnivore diet. I have just basically reported that I don't notice any loss in strength. That's pretty important. Now, the thing that I did have a problem with is now that I'm much lighter, it's just harder to do things. I have less weight on my body to throw around to do basic tasks as a truck driver. So that's something to consider as well, but that's not necessarily lack of muscle strength. That's just, I don't have enough to push in some of these things that I do at times. Endurance has improved just tremendously. I can do things now like go hike up mountains. I don't get winded anymore. I can have a lot more fun in life. I can do physically exertion type jobs like shoveling dirt. We had a project the other day where I had to bend over and pick things up, I think 1,000 to 1,500 times, just over and over and over again, out in the brutal cold. That went well. And yeah, I can't complain there. Energy levels, can you hear it in my voice? Absolutely. Energy levels, yay! But yes, energy levels have improved. The only time I get dips in energy levels is when I add too many fruits, or I might eat something sugary, or possibly get into traditional type breads and starches and stuff like that. So I just avoid all that and I don't have to worry about it. It's just amazing what this diet has done for me, and I only do it to a specific level of the diet. I've had 100% carnivore diet months. I have had 100% carnivore diet type weeks, but yeah, to say that I was 100% carnivore, that would be completely false, and I'd be lying to you. And we're not out here to lie to people. We're out here to talk about a weight loss journey. We're out here to talk about carnivore successes, carnivore failures, you know, whatever it is. I don't care about. It's just, hopefully you guys are improving like I am. Chronic condition changed. Improved of resolved diabetes. Yep, that's 98%. Oh my goodness. How chronic conditions change. Now, I noticed a lot of people start the carnivore diet because of a diagnosis. My diagnosis was sleep apnea, high blood pressure, bad eyesight. My eyesight has improved, by the way. I am able to see things a lot further away now. And my glasses, even though they still work really well, it's kind of like wearing binoculars. But when I take my glasses off, I can now see the TV screen and the subtitles on the screen from across the room without the aid of using my glasses anymore. So that's a new win for me. But 98% improved to resolve diabetes and insulin resistance. That's huge. 97% improved to resolve gastrointestinal conditions. Me too. Go figure. I don't have to poop all the time, and I'm not constipated randomly at just strange moments. 96% improved or resolved musculoskeletal issues. I don't know about that. I mean, possibly, maybe not. That's debatable. 96% improved or resolved psychiatric symptoms. That's a plus. I mean, now I can say from my experience, yeah, that is a thing. Okay, because, you know, a lot of us came out of the pandemic extremely depressed. We were emotional. We were easily triggered. But we were easily triggered because of a lot of the foods that we were hoarding and a lot of the foods that we were eating. We were trying to buy everything as cheap as possible. So that means a lot of overly processed foods came in the house. A lot of sugary items were added into our households just for feel-good type moments. You know, stuff like ice cream and donuts and just you name it. And then a whole plethora of different types of canned foods, not necessarily the good type of canned foods, but we were just trying to get food just in case the entire world collapsed. Let's see, 93% improved or resolved overweight obesity issues, means BMI decreased from 27.2 to 24.3. I fall right in that category, guys. I have lost like almost an entire person in body weight. All right, so let's dive on into that part of it. So every Saturday I wake up and I get a weight, regardless if I talk about it online or not. But me and my cats are kind of like a thing. We just get up in the morning, kind of trot on down the hallway. And then I usually find my dog laying on the floor, and then I'll turn to the side here. We'll get this scale set up and turned on. It's a basic medical platform scale, and the reason I bought it is because I was so heavy I couldn't weigh myself on traditional scales. I could do just fine now. The scale's just been really reliable, especially for keeping my sanity. And let's just get on here and see exactly what we got this week. 261.8 pounds is going to be the final weight. That's huge considering I started all this at 435 pounds. And I do have a goal weight in mind, which is of 235 pounds. So I'm only 26.8 pounds away from that. But the total weight I've lost, starting from 435 minus that 261.8, that's 173.2 pounds in under 2 years. And I don't exercise or go to the gym. You know, it's one of my firm opinions that if you're having to go to the gym in order to lose weight or to gain anything from going to the gym besides basic fitness and cardiovascular fitness, maybe you're trying to build some muscle. I get that. But if you have to go to the gym to lose weight, that means there's a problem with your diet. All right, let's get back to the study and see what else there is. 93% improved or resolved hypertension. Yes, hypertension. Constricting blood vessels, getting that rosy red face, you know, from either drinking too much alcohol or just consuming way too much nicotine, that type of stuff. 92% improved or resolved urologic issues. Now, if you don't know what that means, urologic issues have to do with stuff like the kidneys, urination, urinary tract infections and stuff like that. Yes, all of my situations have improved. Non-alcoholic fatty liver has improved. All the way around, everything is so much better. Because before doing the carnivore diet, I was frequently urinating, like all the time. But I was also morbidly obese, and I had a whole bunch of retaining water inside my body. I had inflammation everywhere. My head was like this big. 92% improved or resolved dermatologic issues. Sorry, I'm not great at this. I'm a truck driver. I have a hard time with some of these words. But anyways, yeah, dermatology type issues, rashes, you know, just random skin patches, just dry skin in random places. Yeah, that tends to improve. 89% improved or resolved autoimmune conditions. Yes, absolutely. Now, before I started the carnivore diet and coming out of the pandemic, I was so unhealthy. I had basically no self-defense against just the casual type germs wandering through the air. Every time I got around my children or got around big groups of people, I got sick. And I wasn't just sick for a little while, I was sick for a long period of time. And if I knew about all the benefits of the carnivore diet and this way of life before the COVID pandemic took off, I would have absolutely been implementing this diet into my situation, especially through a time when we're going through something like a pandemic. Because your immune system is your only defense against stuff like COVID. But the thing I found odd is that people weren't talking about this. The mainstream media was like just trying to scare the pants off of everybody, and nobody was really focused on their diet. Many people gained anywhere from 40 to 80 pounds throughout the pandemic, and then once the pandemic was kind of tapering off a little bit, they were all in like this crazy frenzy trying to figure out how to lose the weight. I was no different. 84% improved or resolved cardiovascular issues. Absolutely. 100% improved my situation. I cannot complain about that. I am able to do stuff, like I said, without being winded. Of course, when you're doing strenuous jobs, your blood pressure is always supposed to go up and down. It's liquid. So when you're doing some strenuous jobs like shoveling, for instance, yeah, your blood pressure is going to go up. But now the one thing to focus on is recovery rate. So after you do a strenuous job like bending over, picking stuff up numerous times, you want your recovery rate to start to correct itself pretty quickly. How medication use changed. 100% discontinued other diabetic injectables. 84% discontinued oral diabetes medications. That's a winning situation. What other diet can kind of do that? I mean, I'm sure you can find something out there or figure out some finagle a different way. But this is probably the quickest fix-all. as far as getting to that point and hopefully being able to figure out how to maintain it afterwards, because none of this is worthwhile unless you figure out what to do after you've done something. Okay, now level of satisfaction with the carnivore diet. 98% of participants reported being very satisfied or at least satisfied with the diet. Now that's where I fall in. 90-10 eating principle, 90% meats and fats, 10% love your life. It just works. And it's also reasonable, especially if you're trying to get somebody you care about to hopefully try to understand what we're doing and how we can get all these crazy benefits, and we don't have to be 100% all the time. And then it goes on to talk about study limitation. The studies was based off of self-reported responses to an online survey. Recalling what exactly one eats in a week, month, or year is notoriously difficult, and there is no way to objectively verify the accuracy of self-reported eating habits and health outcomes. But here's the thing. I've been doing this, honestly. I have an entire playlist that goes back until when I started my entire weight loss journey, and it just depicts everything that I've done up until this point. And the carnivore diet is just one of the many things I've done. I've done fasting practices. I've done eating type situations where I'm only eating stuff like sardines. Next week, I'll be eating only cod livers for 5 days. We're going to see how that goes. Cod livers finally arrived from Amazon. Yay. And then it goes on to talk about the takeaway from the Harvard carnivore study. If you guys want to read that, absolutely click the link. I'll have it available down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about this study. And do you relate to like any of this stuff? I just find it fascinating that I have so many similarities to what this study entails. And the stuff that's been studied already, I have these experiences going on right now. But I think the most important thing is, even if you're not doing the carnivore diet, I just want you guys to be healthy, happy, and love your life. Until next time, guys.